Do you want to see how easy it is to make your own mason jar cozy? Stick around, I'll show you. So this is everything you're going to need. I'll list the sizes. This is the batting. You're going to need 2 pieces of coordinating fabric and then another piece of fabric for the binding. You'll also need a circle in the batting. I forgot to say that. The first thing I'm going to do is quilt the batting onto the main piece of fabric. You can do any design you want. I'm going to kind of just do like lines. I'm going to space them a couple inches apart. I'm going to mark my fabric with this disappearing pen. This is optional, but I just want to make sure my lines are even. So I marked where I'm going to sew, so I'm just going to sew right along all these lines. Make sure you either pin it in place or use some basting spray. Then I'm also going to quilt on the circle to the batting. So now I have my circle quilted and the main piece of fabric. Now you're just going to take that binding and lay that on the top. If you have directional fabric, make sure that you're putting it at the top of that direction. This is right sides to right sides, and I'm just going to sew about 1/4 inch right along here. So now I am taking my lining piece and I'm actually going to line it up with the binding. So I'm going to take that all the way up there and then either pin or clip it in place. So now we are going to sew right along here at 1/4 inch seam. Now it looks like this, and we are going to iron the hem toward the part that has the batting on it. Then flip it over and iron it again, just iron it out flat. So now I'm going to take this and fold it in half. Try to line your seams up really well and then pin that in place. Okay, so now I'm going to sew from here up to here, and then this is my lining piece, so I'm going to leave a gap to turn this right side out and then sew here. Make sure you back stitch the ends really well. I'm going to sew the circle of the outside onto here, and I made marks in my fabric so that I knew where to line. The first pin I put in was the one directly across because I knew that would be even, and then I took this and I lined this like this, lined that up with the seam, and then I knew that that was this end and this was this end. Then I took the circle and I folded it in half, and that's how I got this end and this end. So now I just need to line this and this to get here and here. So now I'm going to pin this in place. Each pin will be pinned at a pin, if that makes sense. And I don't have a pin here, but I know one will go here. I have that all sewn into place, and now I'm going to sew along here at 1/4 inch seam all the way around. My only recommendation is to just sew really, really slow. So that end is done. I'm going to cut little slits to make turning this easier without cutting through the thread. Now I have to do that all over again on this side. Take your time and adjust your fabric as you need. Make sure that your bottom and your top. Again, I am going to just cut little slits to make this turning easier and make it look nicer and not so bunchy. Now that both circles are on, I'm going to take that hole that I left in the lining and I'm going to turn this right side out. So for the last step, I changed my thread to red so that it would match my lining, but that's optional. You could use white or whatever you have in your machine. So I'm just going to sew this part right on my machine and close that hole up. So now I have that lining all sewn together, and I just need to tuck this in. One step I forgot to mention is that we are going to fold the binding down about 1/2 inch and then iron that, because we're going to want to sew that so that it's like this. Look how cute.